Rachel Maddow did get some things wrong. The question is, did she learn a damn thing about it? Well, rather than citing her real mistakes and terrible predictions, she actually ended up blaming her audience.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? We have Cenk and Anna of TYT, and they are calling out Rachel Maddow for some pretty unhinged comments that she made concerning her fans, and basically being about as self-reflective as a rock. But that pretty much is character fault of the left. But they just don't seem to be able to take account for the mistakes that they made in the 2024 election. So, like I said, let's sit back and enjoy as Cenk and Anna call out Rachel Maddow for her unhinged comments.
Is there a world in which Democrats should have a backup plan for Joe Biden?
A backup plan?
If he needed to be replaced on the ticket. If we're 3 months out and Trump's still beating him in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, North Carolina.
I mean, I think the backup plan is run a better campaign. Biden hasn't been disqualified from running for the presidency by anything having to do with any of his performance. It's just that it's going to be a tough fight.
Yeah.
And so I think the backup plan is fight harder. Yeah. The backup plan is make sure you win the Senate. The backup plan is people should volunteer earlier and do more and give more money and do all of those things.
That was MSNBC host Rachel Maddow.
Oh, hey, guys, if you have not subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. I'd really like to be at 500 subscribers by January, and I need your help to do that. So thank you all very much.
Back in June of 2024, and keep that in mind when you consider that Semaphore spoke to key media figures across digital, print, and legacy media, Republicans and Democrats, to discuss the things that they got wrong in 2024. And judging by that video you just watched, Rachel Maddow did get some things wrong. The question is, did she learn a damn thing about it? Well, rather than citing her real mistakes and terrible predictions, she actually ended up blaming her audience. So here's her statement to Semaphore. She said, "I thought people would be more unnerved by JD Vance, less the cat lady thing and more the Americans are going to have to get over the dictator phobia Mencius Moldbug thing." Now, if you're unfamiliar with Mencius Moldbug, that's a pseudonym for Curtis Yarvin, who Vance has followed for years. And Curtis Yarvin is someone who's against liberal democracy and is in favor of a monarchy, though he seems to have a tough time defending that position. Cenk Uygur actually interviewed him about it, and it was embarrassing if you ask me. But on October 1st, Gallup released the following poll comparing voter ratings between Tim Walz, who was the VP pick for Kamala Harris, and JD Vance. And yeah, I mean, she is right that people didn't seem to fear JD Vance as much as she was hoping for. So at that point in time, in October of 2024, less than half of registered voters nationally had a positive view of Tim Walz or JD Vance. A combined 46% rate Walz as either an excellent or pretty good choice versus 41% for JD Vance. And despite Walz's slight lead on this measure, the two were equally likely to be rated as poor choices. Just under 4 in 10 voters see each as such. So she is right that people didn't buy into the fear mongering about JD Vance as much as she hoped for, but to kind of pivot to what she believes her audience got wrong, or the Democratic voters got wrong, or voters in general got wrong, instead of taking ownership of the things she got wrong, is kind of amazing. But what do you think, Cenk?
Yeah, so I mean, look, even that quote is telling, because it's indecipherable to the average person. Get over dictatorphobia, Mencius Moldbug thing. What are you talking about? So look, I interviewed Curtis Yarvin, as Anna pointed out, so I know what she's talking about. The average person doesn't. And nobody knows about Curtis Yarvin. And yeah, he's comical and ridiculous, and that's why I'm worried about JD Vance and Donald Trump, and that's why I voted against them. But the average guy doesn't know that Curtis Yarvin is in favor of a monarchy, which is actually a dictatorship, which is what JD Vance was, you know, the fact that JD Vance is in favor of that is problematic, etc. So.
Okay, sorry, I gotta break in here for just a second. Just because you read stuff by somebody doesn't mean you agree with them. Okay, that's it. That's absolutely and utterly crazy.
One, out of touch with what actual human beings are going through. They're worried about gas prices and food prices. They're not worried about Mencius mold bug, who they've never heard of. And secondly, and even more importantly, she's saying, damn it, the fear mongering didn't work.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly right. I mean, it's amazing that, look, I'm always amazed at the, I guess, allergic reaction to any self-reflection at all. It's okay to admit that you got things wrong. It's actually admirable when people admit, especially people in media who are supposed to be, sharing accurate information. It's okay to say, look, I got that wrong. In fact, we're going to give you examples of people who actually did take ownership, and I give them a lot of credit for that. It builds credibility when you're willing to admit when you've gotten something wrong. And by the way, remember, this is what she said when Joe Biden ultimately ended up dropping out of the presidential race.
Just thinking about the president right now, what a man, what a patriot. What an act of selfless devotion to your country. And he has been a phenomenal president. He ended the presidency of Donald Trump at one disastrous term. And he did it while being decent and civil and honorable and normal and occasionally boring at a time when boring was absolutely what we needed. And I just, his career of decades in public service as a senator and as a very successful vice president and as a phenomenally successful president, there is no single thing that he has done in that entire career that is a greater or more consequential act of service and sacrifice to this country.
Girl, the American public were getting boring every night with your MSNBC show. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Go outside and talk to real people. She is so out of touch with ordinary people. It is amazing.
Yeah. So look, something that would have made sense if she said, look, maybe we should have focused more on economic populism because people were worried about prices and they're worried about kitchen table issues, et cetera. Something that could have made sense if she said, well, it turns out Biden was too old and we got that one really wrong. And you could tell it in the debate. I wish we'd known that, could have figured that out earlier. And if he stepped aside a year ago, then we could have had a primary, picked our best candidate, then we would have been able to beat Trump. Those are all very logical, rational things to say, but she doesn't go in that direction at all, and she can't, because she's now wedded to Democratic propaganda. I mean, all those things she just said that we just showed you there, that she said about Biden, I mean, comical propaganda. That Biden was a decent, civil, and honorable man. Go tell that to the Palestinians that whose genocide he financed. No, maybe he was decent and honorable to you and to other Democratic politicians and to his...
Maybe not to the thousands of black men that he had thrown into jail via the three-strike laws for the crime bill that he championed back in the 90s.
Donors, but if you're on the business end of US-made bombs, Biden didn't care at all. As long as AIPAC gave him money, he would finance the slaughter of Palestinians at the drop of a hat. Not he would, he did. And he's still doing it right now. He's still president. And all that talk about, oh, I care so much about the Palestinians. He's like, no, keep killing him. Keep killing him. Didn't tap the brakes once for Israel. So please spare me that garbage marketing about what a decent and honorable man he is. And she said, boring is what we needed. Really? That's the takeaway you got from these elections? That if you don't make your own case, you're not electric, you're not dynamic, and you just come out and go, that's good, that's a positive thing? You've learned nothing at all. And then his decades of honorable service. He was known as a senator from MBNA, which was a credit card company. He's known as a guy who will take donor money and do whatever the donors ask, whether it's a credit card company, AIPAC, or anything else. So there are so many important lessons to learn. Stop trying to appease the donors and start trying to appeal to voters. But MSNBC and Rachel Maddow didn't learn any of those lessons. What they learned was, we showed you earlier in the show, Martin O'Malley saying, oh my God, if we'd only raised more super PAC money and spent it in like more cheesy and potentially illegal ways. And now Rachel Maddow is saying, if only we'd fear-mongered more and we could have scared the crap out of you so you'd forget the real issues in your life. Okay, great. So glad to see that Washington got the lesson.
Well, there you have it, folks. That's Cenk and Anna calling out Rachel Maddow for unhinged comments on Biden and basically the watchers of MSNBC. But MSNBC has basically been the voice of the administration basically ever since the administration started. Even worse than CNN. If you should have seen pom-poms on every set. Let's just put it that way. But kudos to Cenk and Anna for pointing this stuff out. Unfortunately, they don't share in the self-reflection for the many, many, many times that they reported insightful things, only to not backtrack on it, but to say, well, we reacted to the information that we had at the time. I've seen it. They did it. And again, yes, they are calling out Rachel Maddow, but then again, their abilities at self-reflection are in the toilet, as is many with the left. So thank you all very much for joining me today. I hope you had a great day. I hope you have a great evening. Hit that like and notification button. Please hit that. Please hit me up with the comments. Love the comments, even the bad ones. And then, yeah, like I said, subscribe. Please hit that subscribe button. So again, thank you all. Later.